Lahi wa Mandera Kaskazini, ambaye ndiye mwenyekiti wa kamati ya wabunge wanaotoka kaunti za wafugaji.
Kumezuka ushindani baina ya vyama vya kutetea maslahi madaktari nchini na taasisi za usalama kuhusu kujeruhiwa kwa katibu mkuu wa chama cha kutetea maslahi ya madaktari nchini KMPDU. Vyama vimedai polisi walikuwa na njama ya kumuua Daktari Davji Atela, lakini vyombo vya usalama vimekanusha vikali. Je, ilikuwa ni ajali kwa hakika ama serikali ilikuwa na mpango wa kumnyamazisha semi kinzani? Mhariri wa kitengo chetu cha upekuzi Francis Ontoma anaangazia taarifa hii kwa kina.
They might break our skulls like they cracked the SG skull, but they won't break our spirit.
It cannot be that it is the police who are right and the healthcare workers cannot be right.
Article 37 is explicit about the right to protest and to assemble and to picket and to present petitions to public officials.
It takes a lot to be an unposted medical intern. It's depression upon depression. And so when you see us on the streets, we know what we are going through.
Taifa la Kenya lenye yapata watu milioni 50 linakodolea macho hali tepetevu katika sekta ya afya. Takwimu zinaonyesha kuwa kwa Wakenya 17,000 kuna daktari mmoja ikilinganishwa na viwango vilivyowekwa na shirika la afya duniani. Daktari mmoja angaa kwa watu 1,000. Aglabu upungufu huu wa madaktari umekuwa ukizibwa na madaktari wanagenzi ambao sasa chama cha KMPDU kinasema wanashikilia 27% ya madaktari na wauguzi katika hospitali za umma kote nchini. Mgogoro wa sasa umesababisha madaktari wanagenzi kukosa kuripoti hospitalini, huku serikali ikishikilia kuwa haina fedha, hali ambayo inazidi kulemaza huduma ya afya nchini.
Mpango wa afya kwa wote ulinuiwa kuinua viwango vya afya humu nchini na kuliweka taifa hili katika hadhi za kimataifa. Lakini changamoto ya idadi ndogo ya wafanyikazi inazidi kushuhudiwa nchini kote.
When you go to any level, 4, 5, 6, you are most likely to arrive than intern first. They receive casualty, they'll take you to theater. Those in gynecology will do CSS, in sections, even 5 in a shift, do ward rounds, they live at normal. They do what the clinics, they do everything that a doctor does. The only difference is that an intern, before they make a final decision, they'll have to consult a medical officer now, or a consultant, to reaffirm that the decision will change if there's need to. It's a mandatory period that you have to do for 1 year before you get licensed. So when they graduate, and you tell them that they cannot go practice anywhere because they have no license, and then you keep them home for 8 months, what do you want them to eat?
Tunakumbana na Anthony, likiwa si jina lake haswa. Ni daktari mwanagenzi aliyekubali kuzungumza nasi bila kumtambulisha. Katika miaka ya nyuma, Anthony alikuwa miongoni mwa wanafunzi bora katika mitihani ya kitaifa ya sekondari. Alipata alama ya A na kujiunga na chuo kikuu kusomea udaktari. Sasa amefuzu barabara, lakini hawezi kuitwa daktari kabla apate mafunzo ya nyanjani kwa muda wa mwaka mmoja.
The life of an unposted medic intern is, you are a Kenyan with no job. Your job is reserved. You're supposed to have a job, but because of failures of 2 or 3 people, you don't have a job. And you are trying to survive. You are eking a living out of doing menial jobs. If you have a boda, you're trying to do that. If you have a farm somewhere, you're trying to do that. And over time, it takes a toll on you because that's not what you studied for.
Kwa ajili ya maslahi ya Anthony na wenzake 4,000, muungano wa madaktari nchini KMPDU uliandaa maandamano kulalamikia swala hili siku chache zilizopita.
On the 28th, actually, the memo was already out that we are tired and we are going to the streets. But when we got to the intersection, the Ngong Road, the intersection part, the police in charge, he was like wearing different clothes from the rest. I think he had senior position or something. He held a tear gas canister. I've never seen a tear gas canister that is propelled, but it's shot like a gun. I've never seen, because I was at the front, I was next to BIMG. And so BIMG, before that, BIMG knew that, well, this is not going to end well, because we are marching and the police were supposed to give us security. All hell was starting to like break loose. And so when we reached this road, I see a tear gas canister coming towards BIMG. It was aimed at his chest, by the way. But he dodges, and he dodges just in time for it to hit his head.
Katika hali hii tete, naibu katibu mkuu Daktari Dennis Miskela akawaongoza wanagenzi hawa kumkimbiza mwadhiriwa katika hospitali ya Nairobi.
If that projectile had hit HG on the forehead, something different will be talked about. But it hit him on the head, he fell down, stunned, and so it had to pick him up and start looking for a good Samaritan to take him to the hospital. This was really profits, the guys were not willing, but this lady who opened her car and took him in, and they rushed him to the Nairobi hospital.
Akiwa amelazwa katika chumba cha 3 katika wodi ya Lady Macmillan, usalama uliimarishwa nje na ndani ya chumba hicho, hasa kuwafungia wanahabari kutomfikia Daktari Atela. Lakini kwa usaidizi wa kamera fiche, mmoja wetu alizungumza naye ana kwa ana.
The police who directly projected the tear gas on my head, or the projectile that he used on my head, had an intention to eliminate me, because the moment you target someone's head, the damage that always occurs is always quite severe. So he was not having an intention just to threaten my life. He was having an intention to eliminate me, particularly on this particular process. Ideally, because he's somebody who's known, was covered on the video, he should have been arrested.
Mambo yalipokuwa yakitokota, siku moja baadaye waziri wa afya Susan Nahumicha akavunja mbarika kuhusiana na swala hili.
That was an accident. I don't think anybody intended to hurt the SG, and I called him myself and told him. Nobody wanted to hurt him. It was just to disperse, but by bad luck ikamgonga kichwa.
Kwa mujibu wa muungano wa KMPDU, kituo cha polisi cha Kilimani kilikataa kuchukua taarifa yao kuhusu ukatili uliomfika Daktari Atela pasi na sababu maalum. Nakutana na Hussein Khalid, mwanasheria wa masuala ya haki za binadamu, ambaye amefanya kesi nyingi kuhusu ukatili wa maafisa wa polisi.
Article 37 is explicit about the right to protest and to assemble and to picket and to present petitions to public officials. This is very clear in the Constitution. In this particular case, KMPDU did issue a notice. They actually presented that particular notice to the police station, and it was received. However, despite having met all the legal requirements, we all know what happened. This particular individual was specifically targeted by the police. And we've heard stories here and there saying that it was an accident, or, you know, we didn't mean to do it, it wasn't planned for. What a coincidence that you actually went for the man in question directly. And, you know, an accident, it's not just a scar. They didn't just touch him anywhere else, but targeted the head.
Chris Otieno ni mchanganuzi wa masuala ya usalama jijini Nairobi.
So when we hear of these kinds of injuries to citizens of this nation, then we ask ourselves, the person lobbing that tear gas, the competency, is it something that requires questions? And does it require investigations for it to be established exactly what could have gone wrong? Did he apply his level of training? And if he did not apply his level of training, then we are saying And Constitution is very, very well clear on how to respond to those kinds of persons. And that must be, that's a course that must be taken and taken critically.
Habari hizi zikawa zikiangaziwa na vyombo vya habari na mashirika mbalimbali humu nchini na ughaibuni. Shirika la kutetea haki za binadamu Amnesty International Kenya, mashirika kutoka Botswana na Zimbabwe yakawa baadhi ya walioeleza kusikitishwa kwao.
We believe in no unclear circumstance that a nefarious plot had been put on the SG, because even before we began our demo, a day before, we had been warned by some of our intelligence friends and that we be careful that something bad was being planned, because we've been a pain in the government scheme, especially on the issues around healthcare.
Kitengo chetu cha upekuzi kilimwandikia barua mwenyekiti wa IPOA, mamlaka huru inayokadiria utendakazi wa polisi, Bi Ann Makori. Kwa mujibu wa mamlaka hiyo, upo mpango wa kufanya uchunguzi wa kina na kisha kuwasilisha ripoti kwa mkuu wa mashtaka ya umma nchini.
We are demanding for collective bargaining agreements to be rapidly negotiated so that we can have salaries that are commensurate to the changes in the market price of commodities. We are seeing Kenyatta National Hospital discriminating against doctors and against healthcare workers. It is the first time in history of this country that interns graduate and stay at home for over 1 year. We are seeing healthcare workers who are providing services diligently being dismissed unceremoniously. We will continue with demonstration today. We will come here next week and continuous weeks.
Je, upo uwezekano Daktari Atela alijikurura katika mtego wa serikali mintaarafu ya misimamo yake mikali?
I am 100% convinced that the Secretary General from the word go was a targeted man, and whoever shot the tear gas knew very well what he was aiming at, and he did not miss his shot. This was no coincidence, this was no accident, but a deliberate attack on his life.
And it's true, Dr. Atela, that KMPDU has grown to be the most vocal, most credible voice around healthcare advocacy in this country. And I'm sure some people may not be happy with that.
Ili kushughulikia kilio cha madaktari hao wanagenzi kuhakikisha kuwa wanapata masomo kazini, serikali inatakiwa kutoa shilingi yapata bilioni 4. Huenda sasa ukawa mtihani mkubwa hata zaidi ifikapo mwezi Julai mwaka huu, pale wanagenzi 4,000 zaidi watakapokuwa wakifuzu kutoka vyuo vikuu.
Martin Luther King once said that he knows the role of longevity. He'd wish to see his daughter get married. But even if he were to die early, he want to have died and have lived for something. I know that Dr. Taylor is strong. I know I'm strong. They might break the skulls, but they will never break the spirit.
These individuals who were involved, whether it's the officer who was commanding that unit, because then there is that responsibility, whether it's the individual officer who actually shot that particular tear gas canister, these two in the minimum by now should not be operating in the service. They should have, because they are a danger and a threat to Kenyans' well-being. They should by now have been suspended. Investigations should be ongoing, and these two must be arrested and presented before a court of law to answer to the charges of attempted murder.
When there is no violence in the crowd, when it's just moving, running left, right, center, no property damage, those kinds of things, then you're basically saying that our police are well trained and they can be able to handle that from a safe manner that has no consequences that would put us in a situation where we are questioned on the competency of our own people or our ability to exercise or really enforce our mandate.
To students out there, keep on studying, keep on reading, work hard. Medicine is still a promising course. Choose it because that's where your passion lies. Don't be cowed. We are just dealing with a government that perhaps might not have adequate knowledge on what it takes to be a doctor. Let not that bring you down, tear your heart.
Open gate!
Kwa sasa ni vigumu kubashiri jinsi mvutano huu utakavyomalizika. Serikali na vilevile muungano wa madaktari, kila mmoja akivuta kamba upande wake. Haya yakijiri, mustakabali wa madaktari wanagenzi unasalia katika hali ya ati-ati, harakati zao zikisalia kuwa kitendawili kisichokuwa na majibu. Francis Ontomwa, KTN News.